Ariana.
Thank you so much, Magdalena. Salam everyone. Thank you so much for your patience and coming to this International Women's Day event. Salam bara hamatanay aziz, salamuna granawatawalo derasharakhle. Hushabadin, I'm really happy that you can all make this event, non-Afghans uniting with Afghans for one cause, to free the women of Afghanistan, to give them the rights that they so much need. Especially in the 21st century, we can see these things that are happening at the moment, which are barbaric. So it has been over 500 days since the Taliban have banned women from their education, their rights to go to school. It has been over a few months since December, which girls haven't been able to pursue their higher education and go to university. There has been bans on sports. There has been bans and restrictions on education, on work. There has been bans and restrictions on working for NGOs, as well as that. There has been many restrictions on the women and female participants in society, and we have to stand together and fight for their rights. And I want to thank Magdalena so much for reaching out to me, as she mentioned, for this event, and I'm so happy that she approached me, and in the short time we managed to create this event, so I really want to give her a round of applause. If you come to the stage.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you so much. So in regards to women's rights in Afghanistan, there's so much we can do. There are people who say that there is nothing we can do because we are far away from the country. But there is so much we can do. For example, this event in itself, gathering together for this cause means a lot to the women of Afghanistan, means a lot to all of us. Fighting for their rights, attending protests, raising awareness through social media or attending such events is very vital, and supporting charities such as Rahila Trust, which we are supporting through this event, and all the proceeds from the ticket will be going to them. So through Rahila Trust, they're supporting women's education by providing them with scholarships, as well as providing them with leadership mentoring programs. And so on that note, we'll be having a panel discussion to talk with some speakers from Afghanistan who have newly arrived or have been here for a few years. For example, Qazi Marzia Barbarkhail, a former judge. We have here with us Sariah Nawrozi, a former captain of the Hearts development football team. We also have Benafsha Yaqoobi, as well as Mr. Mahdi Salami, who's the husband of Benafsha Yaqoobi, and they're both disability rights activists. And we'll be going through the event. And first of all, I would like to thank Magdalena, India, for you guys for participating, Sadaf MUA for this beautiful makeup, Morsal Boutique for this beautiful clothing, Watani Box will be serving Afghan food, so you can feel free during the break. We'll be having a break, so you can grab their food, or Culture Cafe for the delicious Afghan food, AMB Phones for capturing this event, and the press here as well. So thank you once again for attending this event, and we'll be having a panel discussion soon. So first of all, I would like to bring onto the stage Haditha Afzali. She's a writer and poet, and she came all the way from Manchester. And she has written us a few poems, one in Dari, which is one of the national languages of Afghanistan, and one in English. So she has been featured in Ariana Magazine. That's how I got in touch with her, and she's also been featured in the Times. So I would like you all to give her a round of applause and welcome her onto the stage.
I'm really glad that I'm here today and I'm spending my time with among you guys. I'm really glad. So bear with me because this poem is quite long. I hope you enjoy it. It's called My Hand, which means homeland. And in this poem, I try to write about all the hopes that I have for Afghanistan. And I also have mentioned what Afghanistan has gone through in the history, like before this, during Taliban and before that. میهن دلم خون است بر احوال زارت میهن ای میهن که رفت از کف جلال و افتخارت میهن ای میهن کجا شد آن همه عز و وقارت میهن ای میهن کجا شد آن شکوه و اقتدارت میهن ای میهن که کرده این چنین بی اعتبارت میهن ای میهن الا ای میهنم روز بهار آسیا بودی بهار و باغ و راغ و لاله‌زار آسیا بودی، شکوه و اقتدار و افتخار آسیا بودی. تو روزی افتخار و اعتبار آسیا بودی. چه شد آن گلشن و باغ و بهارت میهنه میهن؟ الا ای میهنم، ای مادرم، ای آشیان من، بهار من، گل من، گلشن من، گلستان من، دل من، دلربا و دلبر من، دلستان من. الا ای جان من، جانان من، دردت به جان من. چه شد باغ و بهار و لاله‌زارت میهنه میهن؟ کجا گوشی که یک ره بشنود فریاد و فغانت؟ کجا چشمی که بیند بر تو حال پریشانت؟ چه گوهرها به غارت برده شد از معدن و کانت؟ کجا شد لاجورد و گوهر و لعل بدخشانت؟ به یغما برده شد دار و ندارد میهنه میهن. چرا خاموش کردن از جفا روشن چراغت را؟ چرا پرپر نمودند از ستم گلهای باغت را؟ و جای شهر پرزهر علم کردن ایاغت را. به غیر از غم نمیگیرد دیگر کسی سراغت را. زدن آتش به قلب داغدارت میهنه میهن. هراتت ای وطن یک روز مهد علم عرفان بود. گل سرخ مزارت زینت فصل بهاران بود. به ننگرهار نازت در زمستان جوش مهمان بود. به فصل گرم تابستان جوانان بود و پغمان بود. چه خوش بودی همه لیل و نهارت میهنه میهن. شود روزی که بینم بی غم و ماتم بهارت را. شود روزی که بینم بی غم و ماتم بهارت را. به شادی بشنوم آوای گلبانگ هراتت را. ببینم خرم و خندان همه شهر و دیارت را. هرات و ننگهار و فاریاب و قندهارت را. فدای کابل و بلخ و مزارت میهنه میهن. بود مهرت چو جاری به مغز استخوان من. و عشقت درفشانی می کند طبع روان من. زند چهچه به مدحت بلبل نطق و بیان من. درود افضلی بادا نثارت میهنه میهن. So basically, in this poem, as I said, I wished for a better Afghanistan, and I talked about Herat and Balkh and Faryab and Nangarhar, and I talked about what they are famous for as well. I'm enjoying this now. So basically, this one is in English. This is for all the women, especially my sisters in Afghanistan and what they are going through at the moment. This one is called I Am a Woman. I am a woman. I am a woman. Each strand of my hair represents all the strong women I ever known. Every strand of my hair is as sharp as sword. It cuts through the croc's throat. My hair is shining like my future. Upon seeing it, they avert their eyes as to not catch the fire. But my beauty is blinding to the misogynist. One orders me to cover my hair, the other shuts my mouth. One orders me, do not leave your house, or I'll cut your foot. The other closes the doors to my school, while another orders me to cover my face because my beauty strays their man. I am a woman. I am a woman, and as strong as I may seem, sometimes I break. When you hit a mirror by force, what happens, do you think? It breaks, but it will break by hurting you too. I am a woman, and the rules only applies to me every time. From Europe to America, from Afghanistan to Iran, from India to Turkey, the rules always circles and circles and circles and circles only to find me. I don't write this to get your applause. I don't write this to get your applause. I wrote this for my sisters. She needs you to stand up and walk beside her, shoulder to shoulder. You need to support her while she fights. I have a voice. I have a voice, and I can assure you, every woman has a voice. If we listen carefully, she screams. Women's rights are human rights. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed that poetry, beautifully read by Haditha. And poetry is one of the part of the cultures of Afghanistan. It's been used for centuries, and it's part of our history. It's been used as a form of entertainment, as a form of communication. So thank you so much for bringing that onto stage.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it. The next up, we'll be having Rahila Siddiqui from Rahila Trust, who will be telling us more about how she's supporting the women of Afghanistan, especially with the restrictions still ongoing on. So let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you, Ariana Jan and Magdalena Jan, for all your effort and putting this event very beautifully, as I'm saying today, with all our great audiences here. Thank you for all your time and being with us tonight. Women have been banned from using parks, gyms, public space, banned from most workplace, and many restrictions are imposed on their movement and freedom. This is happening in line with the de facto authorities' interpretation of Sharia law. The Sharia law that the de facto government introduced, that is not what it says in Islam. In Islam it says علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. یعنی علم برای هر انسان فرض است. در اونجا هیچ چیزی نگفته که it didn't say women or men. It says education is for all. But unfortunately, the Sharia law that Taliban is introducing is something by their own interpretation. Although some women exceptions are conceded from women health workers. Health workers are allowed to work. At least they have a space to go and work. Space for women to operate is extremely, unfortunately, limited. This has ramifications for all Afghans. According to the UN Women, many aid agencies have suspended their operation. As Ariana Jan said, most of the organizations, unfortunately, they suspend their activities because women were not allowed to work through NGOs, and the access to women by women is limited, and that's why they have suspended their work. So an already grave humanitarian crisis is being made worse. The most recent restriction has been on secondary education and higher education. You know that there has been many degrees that they have limited Afghan women. And as part of it, the very brutal one is the education and no access to work for women in Afghanistan. It shows how quickly decades of progress on Afghan women's rights can be reserved in a matter of days. But it looks very unlikely that the girls' schools will reopen. Accordingly, according to the grassroots information from around 100 partners involved in education in Afghanistan, there has been no evaluation and preparations for resuming the secondary education. Those who try to teach girls, despite the restriction they face precaution. You know, there was a woman who was pregnant, and she tried to have a homeschool. She was 6 months pregnant, and she has been arrested by Taliban, unfortunately, and she's in jail right now. When I started these organizations, Rahila, just because we were providing higher education and mentorships inside Afghanistan for the girls in Kandahar and Kabul and in Helmand right now, but we were planning to go to different provinces. They are all very talented, and from the family that they did not have access to financial resources, but they had brain and they were talented. That's why we wanted them to be the agent of change for tomorrow. And therefore we work so much, not to be only a physician or only to be a scientist, but also to be a human being with heart, with honesty, with sincerity, to give back to the society. And that is what they were doing and they are doing, even in these very difficult circumstances. So what you can do, what we can do together. The first things I would say, I'm talking about my organizations right now. We have a campaign that Muslim organizations came to us, Launch Good, and say that we will help you with your campaign, and if you have a volunteer. How many of my Afghan community and non-Afghan people, friends, can be volunteers to set a target of 150, and then through the Ramadan do this fundraising, like crowd fundraising? How many people, how many Afghans will volunteer? Can I say how many? You can find later on. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And Marzia again as well. Excellent. And yourself as well. Perfect. So, some actions of today. Thank you so much. Like this, there could be so many other things. We have academic conference. You can come and you can contribute. Have your own research paper. Also to be a mentor. I can introduce you my scholars. In confidential, you can do the mentor. For the mentor, especially the girls, will be in safe side for them at this stage. But in the future, there's no girls and boys, but anyone with the skills can contribute as a mentor in the future as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ariana John. Thanks a lot. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rahila Jan, for giving us an explanation about Rahila Trust and what we can do as a whole. She explained well that women's rights are being diminished and women are being invisible in society. And let's not forget the ethnic majority in Afghanistan as well, the Hazaras, who have been persecuted for centuries. We should also stand up for their rights. And wherever there is inhumane actions or human rights being abused, we should always raise our voices. Onto the stage, I would like to invite Qazi Marzia Barbarkhail, former judge, as well as she received an award yesterday as well for her work and her women's rights activism in Afghanistan. She came to the UK in 2008, and during her time in Afghanistan, she was one of the judges out of the 22 judges in Afghanistan, female judges. So that is an outstanding accomplishment. I would like to welcome her onto the stage. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you.
And next we have Sariah Nawrozi. She's a former captain of Heroes Development football team in Afghanistan. So she also is signed up to Harrogate's football team in the UK. She recently came during the Taliban's takeover of the country. Let's welcome her onto the stage. Next up we have Benafsha Yaqoobi as well as her husband Mahdi Salami, and we'll welcome them onto the stage. They're both disability rights activists. and they have been fighting for disabled people in Afghanistan to get their rights to education. They have set up Rehab organization in Afghanistan to provide the disabled people in Afghanistan with education. As we know, Afghanistan has faced over many years of war, and that effect has been impacted on the people of the country, and they also need our support. So these restrictions, especially for the female in Afghanistan, have also been doubled. That impact can be doubled to those who are disabled. We can't imagine how much they are also facing. So the first question is, what are some of your personal experiences that motivated you to be, for example, a judge in Afghanistan, a footballer, and disability rights activist? So you can start.
First of all, hello everyone. I'm so happy that I'm here, and happy Women's Day for everyone, for a strong woman from Afghanistan. And when I was start football in Afghanistan 10 years ago, and I started from school and then go up, and also I graduated from psychology in Afghanistan, and I work in a lot of office in Afghanistan, like UNICEF for children, and especially I am a football player from Afghanistan, and I was a captain of Herat development team.
So what motivated you to become a footballer? Did you aspire? Did you look at other footballers in the country, or did you see there was a lack of athletes there?
Actually, because we are a first girl that make a team in Afghanistan, I was so excited that I start football. That because football is need more energy, and I have a lot of energy, that I start football.
That's amazing. Give her a round of applause. And to you, the same question, Qazi Marzia. John, what are some of your personal experiences that motivated you to be a judge as well as a women's rights activist?
Salam, khidmat dosta, salamuna, amni hello everyone, happy Women's Day to all of you. I'm motivated by one of female judges in Palakhumri because I was thinking to be a judge, you have more power. So that's the reality. I wanted to be a judge, and why I want to become an activist, working as a female judge at the family court, the lack of injustice, the lack of justice, and the lack of production for women in Afghanistan. That was the main point. I became an activist. I was no idea about activism. I was very naive, looking just for status to be a judge. But suddenly, the injustice opened my eyes to become an activist.
I also read many articles and interviews about herself. We can go into them, but somewhere, for example, she faced many threats by the Taliban, and she faced 2 times, was it, assassination by the Taliban?
Yes.
So she has struggled many times, and look, you can see it as a demonstration. Afghan women can do so much for the country if they're allowed and have those free accesses and the resources, for example, they can go so far. Thank you for what you are doing. Next up, for Benafsha John and Mahdi, Mr. Mahdi, we would like to ask, what are some of your personal experiences that motivated you both to become disability rights activists and help those people who are disabled in Afghanistan?
Hello everybody, and let me first express my best wishes to all of you, including our female friends, for the International Women's Day. And so I felt that the things I received from those who served me in case of rehabilitating me and bring me back to a very kind of sociability in my life motivated me to transfer these things to people I felt they would need it. So because both of us passed some of our time in outside Afghanistan, specifically in Iran, where we received some rehabilitation and things like that. And we thought that there would be need for offering these kind of services to the needy people of Afghanistan, specifically those with disabilities. And that's why we tried in somehow or other to offer these services, and specifically we tried to establish an NGO in 2008 with the name of Rahiyab or Pathfinder, and that's why and how we started our services towards people with disabilities in Afghanistan.
That's amazing, mashallah. Benafsha, John, do you have anything else to add upon that?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Benafsha Yaqoobi, former Afghanistan Human Rights Commissioner. Before that, I was attorney in Afghanistan Attorney General Office, and before that, Mahdi and I were founded Rahiyab for Afghan people with disability. Currently, we are here, but we are working there. Why we start, Ariana? Just I want to respond to you with one sentence from Judy Human, a very famous disability rights activist who's not with us today. Unfortunately, she passed. So, passed away some days ago just. I wanted to prove to all people as an Afghan woman or as an Afghan woman with disability that the things that you are imposed us to be, or you think we are with non-ability, we are not like that. We are just human beings. We can do lots of things that you can do. Thank you. This was my motivation.
That was really powerful. What struggles have you all faced living in Afghanistan?
Living in Afghanistan, for all people need to live a strong living, because when I was living in Afghanistan, the Taliban not in Afghanistan, but I had a problem for education for when I go to the football exercise. Every time the people say, why you go to football, why you go to exercise? The woman can't do football, the woman can't do exercise. It's hard, it's just for men. It's not just, it's not for women. But I don't hear, I keep going because it's my dream that play for a big team like a Man City. It's my dream now. But I keep going and don't hear the all voices. But I know that now it's so hard for women because they can't study, they can't play football or any sport, they can't go to outside without any man or mahram. But it's so horrible because after the Taliban came to, we had too much attack in the city. Some family died the man, like my uncle, her man is died in attack. But now she doesn't have any man to go to the shopping, to go to the anywhere. It's hard for her. But I know that today that we are together and speak about this, it's hard for me for speaking. Because when I think about this, the woman, how do you live in Afghanistan, I think they didn't have any life. They are just try to have a life. They are just to try.
It's okay.
The woman try to have a life in Afghanistan because just women now they are just living at home, don't go to outside. Because Taliban said women can't do anything. But it's not in Islam. It's not right. And
Thank you so much. Round of applause. As Sabrina John rightly mentioned, And throughout the years, women's rights have been taken away and then given back and then taken away. So this isn't something new. It has happened, but we should emphasize it even more as it's happening right now. So thank you so much, Sariah John. Next up, Qazi Marzia John. What struggles have you faced whilst living in Afghanistan prior to the Taliban, or whichever experience you would like to tell us?
I think the struggle also a good lesson for all of us. If you're not faced with struggle, if you have no enemy, so you're not a human being. You need to have someone against you. You can improve your life. If you just always people like you and people agree with you, so you are not in the world anymore. Of course, I faced with the struggle as a judge, or as a family judge, with the society, with their families, because the law is very supportive for man. I'm sorry to say that. That's the reality of our law in Afghanistan. And I always stand against my colleagues. That's the reason I became evil in the office. So, but the struggle, to be honest, is a good kind of power for all of us, especially for the young generation of Afghanistan, the hope for Afghanistan. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, for Mr. Mahdi and Benafsha John, what struggles have you faced whilst living in Afghanistan prior to leaving and once the Taliban took over the country?
So actually, yeah, I totally agree with Judge Marzia. Really, it is true that with having, struggles, you prove that you're alive, actually. But yeah, let's come to my struggles. Actually, the big struggle, the big general struggle was with mindsets regarding many things. For example, regarding the rights of women, and especially, let's go to the rights of persons with disabilities. So we had good cooperations and collaborations from, for example, every side, from the people, from the government during the Republic era. For example, in case of inclusion of students inside public schools, because one of our main goals, main practical goals, was to include students with visual impairments inside public and mainstreaming schools. And we had struggles, but those struggles were fortunately solvable by advocacy programs, by legislation and things like that. For example, we had inclusive education statute, if I say, that would enable, legally enable students with different disabilities to be mainstreamed in public schools without any barrier, at least, although there were kind of like technical gaps that, for example, we as an organization, RIA, would be happy to fill some parts of the gaps depending upon vision impairments. And so one of the struggles would be the mindsets. There were different mindsets about disability, persons with disability. One would be extremely positive, like saying that, for example, these people are holy, very saint people like that, and also very like minorizing ones would be these people are nothing, should be thrown away. But we tried a lot to acquaint people with kind of like very moderate and very logical mindset about the reality of disability, because we thought that the mindset would be the foundation stone.
Thank you so much. And Benafsha John, what struggles have you faced in Afghanistan?
Thanks, Ariana. To be honest, as a person with disability, and when I'm thinking regarding my life when I was a very young girl and young child, because I was girl and I'm a woman and I'm in a traditional society. I was like Afghanistan, so I faced with lots of struggles here and there. And the other thing was because my family immigrated to Iran, and there I had lots of struggle because I was from Afghanistan. I was a girl, I was with disability, things. So, but the thing that I learned from this, and my family, my father and mother, they taught me like that, and I'm a person. Even today, I know. Even I want to share. I want to tell to people who want to throw bricks towards women. I know they are throwing lots of bricks towards us. Even today, they are not allowing us to go to school, this and that, lots of things. But I'm a person who can make a building from these bricks and then live with freedom and peace, with peace. I think even these challenges, even this bad time will be a good time in the future for Afghanistan girls and women. And we are learning a lot. We are trying to help each other. We are trying to be with each other more than before. And this is my lesson from my challenges and things which I've been faced with it in my life. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of your responses. Do you think the laws which the Taliban have imposed, so the restrictions and ban on education for secondary school and the indefinite ban on women and girls attending higher education university, follows the rulings of Islam?
Thank you. I think this is the Taliban policy is not about Islam. The Taliban is, the policy is all about their benefit and using the name of women. This is just an excuse. This is a game they played by the Taliban. In Islam, we are, alhamdulillah, from Muslim families. There is no, I don't want to explain Islam is allowed women to go to school or education, we all know that. The Islam is Islam, it's all is the same. But the policy and the game is different, that's all.
Thank you so much. I have heard that there have been online educations, so people are trying to find a solution for Afghan women in Afghanistan by providing online educations as well as underground schools with undisclosed locations, so the Taliban don't find out. What do you guys think of this? Do you think this is a feasible solution? Do you think there's other solutions, or what could we do to solve this? Is this a short-term solution? Is it beneficial? What's your thoughts on this?
That's of course, this is a good opportunity for women and girls in Afghanistan. But I have one question. If some people, they don't have access to internet and they don't have money to buy internet or wireless or something else, that will be also is a big issue for the females. How can they manage to join this class internet? As I mentioned before in my interview with BBC World, I said if there is a funding or any access for online classes, they should support all the subject, not just the one thing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Mahdi and Benafsha John, so what are your thoughts?
As a relieving injection, maybe it would help in a sense, but that wouldn't be a permanent solution to that. If I go back to my point before, it should be solved somehow else. But anyway, I actually agree with the challenges faced by people in case of accessing online education, like the lack of electricity, lack of the communication services are terrible.
Yes.
Let me witness some of my online classes. I'm holding with my trainees there in Kabul. just I'm holding just like an audio classes, but even that audio classes with they face some disruptions, they jam, you know, and so we can go on and think on, oh, how terrible it would be if, for example, these things would be in video and video meetings like Zoom or things like that. So let's say again that should be solved very, very from the roots, you know, not just like a relieving injections.
Thank you so much. Benafsha, John, do you have anything to add?
I think online study or online education is, as Mahdi says, good for now because there's no other way. So we are doing with our trainees as well, but there is some challenges. So you think, one is the electricity, as they mentioned, the like technology problems. Most of the family, they don't have mobile phone, smartphone, they don't have their computers, and then so you imagine in one family there is 6 girls. 6 girls, because in Afghanistan, you know, we have a family with lots of people. There is one family with maybe 8 children, 9 children, 10, 6, 7, whatever. But how can this family provide the smartphone or computer or things like that for all of them? And the other thing I want to mention from the other angle, for the online class, one thing would be good if we connect our online classes with some schools or some maybe universities out of Afghanistan, outside Afghanistan, because if we finish with our online class, then we have a degree from somewhere. That would be good. And the other point is that to be honest, all people who are doing online education, they forgot people with disability. I can't find anyone with disability who are included in these online classes. So I'm not sure if it can work forever.
That's a valid point to make. So we shouldn't forget people with disability in Afghanistan, as well as those who aren't able to retrieve education due to the financial aspect of it as well. Thank you so much. From me is, what message do you have for Afghan women? If they're watching this, for example, what do you have to say to an Afghan woman living in Afghanistan?
I just said, keep going, don't stop. You're best woman, you are a strong woman, and we are the outside to Afghanistan support power.
Thank you so much.
My message to my sisters in Afghanistan, firstly, it's difficult to say something. I don't want to say word, I cannot do anything. But still my prayer, my thoughts with all my sisters and all women, Afghani women out of the country, they try their best to be their voice.
Thank you so much.
Keep strong.
Forgive me if I can't say happy International Women's Day, because I didn't say to anyone. I came here and our word is closed. I'm here to be your voice. And we all of us should keep going. We all of us should continue. You from one way, I from another. Thank you so much.
I hope you guys found that insightful. We'll be having some questions from the audience before we go for a break. So if anyone has questions, please do raise your hands.
Hello, good evening. My name is Connie. I have a question. I suppose that this one will go to Judge, essentially. And is that how can you protect and support women within the legal system when the law is so skewed against them in general?
In general, when I was a judge, I mentioned before, because when you're a judge, you're tied by the law. You cannot help direct someone. Because of that, I became an activist and established a women organization in Afghanistan. The law is law. The judge cannot change the law. But if you want to help someone, beside my work, and I established this organization to empower women.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Thanks so much. That was so insightful. And very emotional. I've been in tears at the back here. Potentially to lower the tone, but maybe brighten up a little bit. And on the theme of education, what was your favourite subject at school and why?
I can't say one of them. I like all of them, but mostly Persian literature.
My favorite subject, it was math, and I also like it.
ما بيصير بير شدي ما ما فكر مكان زمانك ده فاكولته بودم زیادتر فلسفه که راجع فلسفه اسلام ایده زیادتر علاقه داشتم. Islamic philosophy, yes. So sorry, just thinking. Yeah, Islamic philosophy is a mantiq suri. It's called mantiq suri. It's really very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Funny but nice question, but okay. So, my favorite subject, it would depend. For example, there were times where, so my most favorite subjects were humanities and literature and language. I still am a mad lover of learning languages, but I was also good in maths as well, to some extent, not just till the kind of like some advanced discussions like integral or I don't know, things like that. I was somehow good at science as well. I was somehow good at physics as well. And yeah, some of them, yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
So let me say it in English. I was in grade 11 at the school, and I loved math. So the teacher of math was always after herself. She was calling me and say that, Rahila, can you do that? So I was going, and one of my friends say that, teacher, why are you always asking her to come to tell after you?
To the board,
Ask
yeah.
me. He said, okay. So you come see Ma and do write the answer the questions.
Yeah.
And when she started, she looked at questions here and there. She walked and she said, "That question is wrong."
Nice one.
I think that the Prophet Muhammad did not only accept but recommend and indeed encouraged universal education. But I'm lost to point out exactly which surah or surahs I could quote. Could you help me out there? In which surahs is he actively encouraging education?
It's the first Iqra.
The first verse.
Iqra surah. The first verse.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you.
So, should I explain that? Should I explain that?
Yeah.
I don't know if that would make any difference, but yeah, just for your information, in case of surah or the chapter, just the first verses inspired to the Prophet of Islam, not the first surah in the book, just the first 5 verses of a surah named Alaq, or starts with the word Iqra or read. Yeah, so that's the things pointing or suggesting to the importance of knowledge or things like that.
Yes, in Islam, it is advocated and is recommended for both men and women to study. It's not just the women or the men singled out. So it's recommended for both to increase their knowledge. Women have been given their rights from the get-go. Women are entitled to work. They're allowed to get educated. They're allowed to reach the highest education possible. They're recommended to do that. And even in marriages, for example, they have the choice to marry. They're able to keep their family name as well once they marry. So there's lots of rights we can go into.
And I just wanted to say, when we say about Quran, it doesn't just say Iqra, like read educate man or woman. It says Iqra, which means it's basically for everyone, not just one person or one gender or the other. Just wanted to say that. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Hopefully that answered your question. Last question over here.
Amazing event, absolutely brilliant. My question is, I know you gave a message to women in Afghanistan, but more internationally. How can we help? And I'm not just pointing out to raise financial needs and things like that. We have already covered the fact that online education is not enough, and it's just a quick solution at the moment. What do you think we can do going forward?
That's a really valid question.
Very good point.
So what's the long-term solution we can do to help the women of Afghanistan internationally? What can the world do? What can we abroad do?
Benafsha
Who would like to
Yaqoobi.
answer? Benafsha, John?
Yeah, I start. So many thanks for your question. I think it's really the best question. Thank you. All of your question was nice. This is very good question. So we all, as a human beings and as women internationally, I think that the thing that we can do therefore to find a long-term solutions that we should stand beside each other and advocate for Afghanistan women's rights. And then we should put pressure upon superpowers. Sorry if I'm very direct. I'm really sorry if I'm direct. But I think we should stand and we should advocate and we should oblige the superpowers, the governments, to put the real pressure upon current ruling system in Afghanistan. Otherwise, there is no way. I can't say you should evacuate all Afghanistan women, because we cannot evacuate all of them. You can't put all of them in online classes. At the end of the day, we should have our peaceful country.
Just to add to our friend's opinion, I think in terms of advocacy to make it more effective, so the key is advocacy to continue and to put pressures. But how to do it more effectively is to see that, okay, how many of Afghan women in different countries, they are activists and they are having voice, to provide them different platforms to talk about the situation, because they are talking from the ground and from the reality, and they have still a lot of networks inside. That is number one. Number two is letters. These things can help, but to be honest, we have written like thousands and hundred thousands of letters and send it everywhere. Probably they have left in the shelf, or they come back, or whatever, or with no responses. But we need to bring those actors, political leaders, in the stage to speak and the advocacy, and listen to the advocacy of women. That can happen through different platforms. I think in United States, Afghan women and international community, they had a very good hand together, that they have a lots of continuous advocacy. What needs to happen is here that the international organizations, in giving hand to the national diaspora organization, I would say, to come together and to increase these advocacies through the international organization like the NGO civil society organization, as well as to call the politicians through different organizations and to bring Afghan women on the stage as well to talk about, because we need to use multiple channels of advocacy to make it happen. And this force needs to be increased. Add to it, value add to it. Thank you.
I agree the same. Thank you so much. And not just the women, the men also have to stand side by side to the men. So we have to work together in many ways we can to help. And I hope that answered your question.
Thank you very much, Ariana, for being such a wonderful moderator.
Yes, wonderful lady. Be strong, our future, our hope.
The fashion show is by Max Store London, displaying the beautiful traditional Afghan clothing with a modern twist as well. Next, we have a Ruba performance by Zayullah Yusufzai.